everyone, it's Mari. I'm back again here today for Honeybee Stamps, creating a couple of A2 sized Easter theme cards. I absolutely love how these turned out, and I wanted to share a technique today with you to do a watercolor type background on my cardstock here to create a little bit of a backdrop for the scene for these sweet little Easter cards. So I have some mixed media cardstock here on my table, and this is a technique that I saw Gina K do on her live the other day. I just thought it was so cool, and so I sat down at my desk and I created a whole bunch of these backgrounds, and then I thought, you know what, I want to really try this here today for my card to create my background. Now this one used this set of colors there that I showed you of distress inks, and I'm going to be using completely using distress inks. I'm not using markers here today. Just going to be using my little cubes to create my color, and I'm also going to use my Tim Holtz decal edge trimmer to trim out my paper to kind of create more of that watercolor paper look for the edges of my paper here. As you can see, I use that trimmer all the time in scrapbooking to trim out my photographs. It just creates a really, really cool texture on the edge of your paper. And here I'm just showing you all of the different backgrounds that I created, just having fun with this technique that Gina showed, like I said, on her live. It was so much fun to watch her do this, and it was just a blast creating these different backgrounds here, all with mostly with distress inks. I guess I did use some tombow markers for some of these ones, but the ones that I'm going to do here for you today are done with the distress ink cubes. So those are some little backgrounds there that I have in my stash for creating other cards. And today we're going to do kind of like a pastel blend to create our background. So I'm using just a block. This is just a stamping block. You could use, if you're going to try this, any size of block that you want. I'm going to start off with some Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm going to stamp that out on the block, and I'm just going to do strips of color. And I'm doing colors that play nice together up against each other. So I'm making sure that, oh yeah, I'm just showing you how inky my hands are from my escapades of making all of those backgrounds. But when you're stamping your color out on your block, it's just really important when the inks are beside each other that they're inks that coordinate. This first one that I'm going to do here, I did also add some Stormy Sky. So it's Mermaid Lagoon, then Stormy Sky. Then I think I'm going to use Picked Raspberry, Squeezed Lemonade, and Cracked Pistachio. And I end up doing a couple of these here today, one portrait and one landscape. And I'm going to end up creating two cards here today with these backgrounds. So there's my Picked Raspberry going down. Here's my Squeezed Lemonade, and I just barely have enough room for some green at the bottom. If I was to do this again, I think I might use a more vibrant green than Cracked Pistachio. I think I might use something like Lucky Clover or Mowed Lawn or something like that. That's just a little bit darker. The Cracked Pistachio is really pretty and soft, but it doesn't show up very well, or at least it didn't on mine. So now I'm taking my Distress Spritzer. I'm spritzing this with an fairly generous amount of water, and this is just fun to play around with. My backgrounds didn't all turn out perfectly, obviously. This is meant to be just a really fun watercolory technique, and it's definitely not meant to create perfection in your prints that you get, but they're just fun and look really cool, I think. Now I am going to dab up the excess water here with a baby wipe, just because I find that it takes less of the pigment off when the whatever it is that you're using to dab off, if it's a little bit damp, it doesn't pick up as much of your pigment, which is kind of what I was going for here. So I'm just using a baby wipe to dab up the excess there. And now you can just see how pretty that is. What a pretty gradation of color you get. I absolutely totally love this technique. I think it's so fun. Now I am going to be using the Easter Buddies stamp set to create a little scene here. Before I get to my Easter buddies, I wanted to just try to darken the green. So I added some more green, actually, and a little bit more of the yellow to my block. And I stamped that out again just to darken that pigment a little bit. Now I'm going to set that off to dry so that we can work with that a little bit later. I've stamped out all of the images from the Easter Buddies stamp set that I want to use here on my project. And I'm going to do some really, really basic Copic coloring. I've really sped this up, and I'm not going to show coloring all of the images because Like if you've watched me before, you know that I don't do anything too fancy with my Copic coloring. I use a 1 or 2 color combo. Obviously one color is not a combo by itself, but some of the areas I only use one color is what I'm saying, I guess. And then in the areas where I am using more than one color, it's just a 2 color blend. So here you can just see I've colored my bunny with a W1, I think. Just a really light gray. It was either W1 or W0. Just went around the edges of my little bunny, and then I just did the cheeks and the ears. And now I'm going to go ahead and do that basket. And I think I'm using, and I think you should be able to see the colors there, E33, maybe an E35, just some browns. And I did a 2 color blend on this basket here, just creating some really basic shadowing where the lines of the basket intersect, and then again on the handle. And I just wanted a really light soft brown there for this basket here because I want my color scheme to be just really soft and lots of pastels, just a really, pretty soft color scheme here for this Easter themed card. So love that little basket image, so sweet. And this stamp set comes with all of these different eggs and the little chicks, and there's flowers and there's grass. It's a really big stamp set, and it has so many different images. Really fun for coloring little bits for this little scene that I'm going to do. I'm also using some, I'm not just using Copics here, I'm also using some Tombow alcohol markers. These are new to my stash, and I wanted to try them out today. Now I just wanted to show you here, this is the coordinating die for Easter buddies, and I love how the Honeybee Stamps dies now come separated. They don't come welded together with those little bits. They're all free. You just take them off of or they're not connected, I should say. So they just come off of the paper, and you can just, you don't have to use your little clippers to clip them apart. And I love that. And I was just showing you there, this one little bunny has his little front feet have little cut marks in them so that he can hold something. So I'm actually going to put a little egg in the little bunny's paws or feet, I guess, rabbit feet. So now you can just see I have created another watercolor background using those same colors. The only thing I left out with this one was the stormy sky. So I just have the mermaid lagoon at the top, and then all of the other colors are the same. Now I'm going to take my decal edge trimmer and trim out both of these backgrounds. And one is going to be landscape and one is going to be portrait, so that I can create a card scene on each of these in different orientation. The nice thing about the landscape is it allows you to add a lot of the little bits, and you can see I have a ton all colored and die cut out here. I'm going to take some paper from the Playful Pastels paper pad that was part of the Spring Bliss release, and I'm going to trim that down. This is that really pretty purple ombre on the back, and then I think this side has florals on it maybe. There's just a tiny little pattern that's tone on tone, and I've trimmed that out to fit the front of my A2 size card base here that's white. Now I'm going to pop up my watercolor background here with some foam adhesive. I've got my patterned paper all glued down there with my Honeybee liquid glue for my precision tip glue pen. And I've added this foam adhesive to the back of the watercolor piece so that it's going to be dimensional on that purple paper there. So I've got some layers going on here already, which is nice and dimensional. Now I'm adding some Dina Wakley gloss spray in white in my splat box here, just with a little brush, just splattering that on just to create a little bit more texture and interest on my background. I love that. I love to splatter, whether it's scrapbooking or card making. I do love to splatter. So I'm going to do that on both of my cards. Now that's all dry and I'm ready to put my little card together here. So I'm going to pop my sweet little bunny up with some foam adhesive. You can see there now that I've added one of my Easter eggs to the little front feet of my little bunny. So he's holding or she's holding that little Easter egg. I love that. I think that's so cute. And there's my basket. I'm going to add a lot of the things onto my little scene here with some glue dots. And some things will be popped up with some foam, dimensional foam adhesive as well, just to give the card a little bit more dimension and allow me to add the layers here and there on my card. So I'm going to use glue dots for those little tulips and just continue to add all of the little images that are part of the Easter Buddies stamp set. So there's little grass bits, and there's daisies and tulips and eggs and jelly beans and carrots, all kinds of fun images. There's a bow that you could add. You could add this to your bunny if you wanted. You could add it, obviously, where I'm adding it here, to the basket. And you can just really be creative with this stamp set and create all kinds of really interesting, fun cards with an Easter theme or a spring theme, a birthday card, just whatever, because I feel like a lot of these little images that are part of this set are pretty generic for any type of happy card. I'm going to add the little jelly beans and a carrot to the little Easter basket, as well as some eggs. And just continuing to add things with those glue dots, which is a really super easy adhesive to work with when you're adding tiny little bits like that. Now I've got my mini Misty out here. I've got some Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock in my Misty. I've stamped out the Happy Easter sentiment that is part of the Easter Buddies stamp set. I am going to heat emboss that with some clear embossing powder, just so that the sentiment is dimensional and raised and shiny a little bit. I like doing that. I'm going to add the coordinating die for that sentiment to the sentiment and run that through my die cutting machine. And I'm going to add that to my card with some foam adhesive as well, just to pop it up on my card. I really love the font of that sentiment. I think it's super sweet. And I think it's just going to fill out that top area of my card really nicely to complete the main parts of my card. So I'm just going to finish adding that down, and I'll be ready to start to add some details to this card. Now I'm going to start my details here with some Wink of Stella. I'm going to add that to basically all of the areas that I've colored with my alcohol markers. So my chick and my bunny, the flowers, the grass, all of the different colored areas will get a little splash of that Wink of Stella, which is just a clear glitter. And it's really subtle. It's not really bright and shiny. It's just, you know, a little bit of sparkle, so that when you turn the card into the light, you can just see a little bit of that shine. And I really like that. Just going to add that around to my card and finish that off. This stuff dries really quickly too, so you can easily go on to your next step. And I like to add this first before I add anything else, because it will activate some of the other things that you might put on your card. So it's good to put that first. I'm going to take a black glaze pen and a white gel pen to add different elements here onto my card. So the black glaze pen will go on the eyes and the nose of the bunny. And then I'm also going to add some white gel pen accents here and there. I wanted to just take a black, really fine gel pen and add some eyelashes to my bunny. And here you can just see I'm going back to the white gel pen again. I'm going to add a highlight to the little pink cheek areas of the little chick and the bunny. And I'll just add little highlights here and there with that white gel pen. I just feel like it adds some really cool detail. I think I add some to the bow and so on and so forth. So just see me continuing to add that. I love all of the really soft colors in this card. I feel like that purple pattern to paper layer behind the watercolor layer just looks really pretty. And I do coordinate this at the end with a purple envelope to just be ready to send off to a recipient. And I do like to store my cards in little plastic sleeves in my space, so that if I want to give them as a gift or whatever, they're all paired up with an envelope ready to go. Now I'm taking some stickles in pink and purple and yellow, and I don't think I add the diamond to this one. And you'll just see me adding those to different little areas of the card that coordinate with that color. So if something's colored purple, I add the purple stickles to that area and so on. And it just, I think, just adds that last little bit of dimension and sparkle to the card. And I love that. And actually, it's not the last bit of sparkle. I'm also going to add some gem stickers as well from the Pretty Pastel collection. So, or the Playful Pastel collection, I should say. So these are the Playful Pastel gems from the Spring Bliss release. I'm just going to take my craft pick and add a few of these around my card to finish it off. And I love how these gem stickers already have the adhesive on them. They're ready to go. You just take them with your craft pick and add them onto your card, and you just have a really nice finishing accent for your project. So I'm just going to grab another one of those, and I added those in the pink and the purple and the blue onto the card. So I'm just going to show you up close how this is so dimensional and fun. Love it. I think it's super sweet. Really like how that turned out. Now I'm also going to show you up close how the other one turned out as well. You can see how I've paired this one with a purple envelope, and the other card has yellow paper behind it and a yellow envelope. And here you can just see super, super cute. Another little scene ready to go to somebody special. And that sentiment on the card on the left is from the Hoppy Easter set. And this is a set of it's all sentiments, which is fantastic. There's a ton of sentiments there. And that has a coordinating die set as well, which I believe I'm going to show you right away here. So there's the stamp set that has tons of sentiments, and then you have a coordinating die, which is genius for each one of those, so that you can just quickly die cut that sentiment and pop it onto your card, just like I have here today. Thank you so much for stopping by today and sticking with me right to the end. And don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment and check out the description box below for links to all of the products that I used today from Honeybee Stamps. Have an amazing day, friends. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you next time for Honeybee Stamps. Bye-bye.